that aren't going to be able to join in person. So we're going to record this, but it's going to just wanted to give you all an update on where we're at with projects. I know for Dean and Beth, you all are just about finished with the north dwelling and the south yard. And we were going to be moving on to the duplexes in the south yard, but we've had a project come up over at the temple, and with the work we're doing on the blacksmith shop, it'd be really useful to have all of the units over by the temple digitized and into the system. So we're gonna flip over to that next.
Like to go to Six Flags.
Oh, and so what I'll do is what we need to do with those is all those units need to be all the data files and forms need to be relabeled. And so that's going to be the first part of this process. And for Dean and Beth, I was going to have you all just continue to keep on with the north dwelling and finish that up. I imagine that's probably like a week or two's worth of work. What do you all think?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
think so.
Roughly.
And then once you're done with that, you can flip over to the relabeling project of we're going to be relabeling the the Fenceline North, what we're calling Fenceline North, and then there's another one that's called the Temple. So there's two different project areas. And I've made hey Vivian, how are you? And I see Stephen there as well. Hey Stephen. I've made a guide for doing the unit relabeling, and I'll send that to you after this call, so you all can go through that. But I'm going to use that guide in the presentation today. But what I thought I'd do is go ahead and share screens, and I will share screen two and drag this guy over. What I'll do is I'm going to show you all on the map where all this stuff is. So if you look at the main map right here, you can see what we've been working on is the north dwelling. You all finished up the south kitchen and are just about finished with the north dwelling. And where we want to move to is up by the temple. And look at this area right in here. This area is known as it's a project we did in 2013. It's the Fenceline North, and then also the area units related to the Pine A. And I don't, Dean and Vivian, you all might have been on that project back in 2013, a little over 13 years ago. It's hard to imagine it being that long ago. It seems like yesterday. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the area of the Fenceline North, which is this area right here, and then also on the temple, which is all these units in here that are from the 2016 and 2017 period. And on our map, well, I've got a guide for doing the unit record renaming. And like I said, I'm going to share this with you all, but this has links to all of the items that you all are going to need for doing the unit record renaming for the North Yard, and then moving on, for the Fenceline North, and then moving on to the temple. And I'll go over this in a second. But what I thought I'd do first is go over the area of the area where we're going to be working. And if we look at, let me bring up this PowerPoint right here. And so can you all see the PowerPoint now? It's got the 3D picture of the main house on it. Is that showing on your whole screen?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see it.
So what the area you all have been working in is the north dwelling, and it finished up the south kitchen, and now we're going to be moving to the northern part of the main house. And this area, one of the first things we're going to be looking at is the Fenceline North. And the Fenceline North is basically everything from the entrance right here, the dooryard gate, all the way up to the temple. And with this area, it also includes the pine alley, and this is the area of the Fenceline North, and it's called Fenceline North because the fence went right through this area. And this is what we were looking for in 2013. And what we found were all these post holes, which are set in amongst all of this 18th century blacksmithing material, which is really cool. So this unit right here, which is MT 1968, which was a good year. That's the year I was born. But for MT 1968, this one just happened to be a really neat unit because not only do you have the blacksmith deposits there, but this strata F right here turns out to be feature 1098. And when we started digging this, what we came across was a post hole that related to the front fence, which was super cool because not in this unit, not only do you have the 18th century layer of all the slag from the blacksmith shop, but you've also got this evidence for the front fence as well. And so, and all within, you've got and also what you have are these fills you can see right here from the excavation of the ice house. And so with the ice house, the ice house is something we are potentially going to be working on in the spring, but this fall and also next year, we're going to be looking at this 18th century blacksmith shop. So this is where getting all these units digitized is going to be incredibly helpful for next season. So for the temple though, the temple is has at its core the ice house, which is right below it. And this is an area that we excavated back in 2016 and 2017 with restoration work on the temple, and we completely revealed the entrance to the ice house. And this is a picture of Liz back in 2017, so a little under 10 years ago for Liz. And what Liz and Kara are sitting in is the entrance, these flanking walls that would have gone into the ice house. And for the ice house floor, this ice house is about 25 feet deep. And that's when the ice house was excavated, all this fill was put around the temple. So the area of the ice house and this blacksmith shop is one of the few areas where we get some really magnificently complex stratigraphy at Montpelier. And you can see it in this unit right here. Not only do you have the fill from the ice house, but you also have a mid 19th century road and then the DuPont road that's right on top of that. So some of these units that you all are going to be working on have some really cool stratigraphy. So for the ice house, all this, ice house was installed in an area right beside and in the gully for the 18th century blacksmith shop. And in this shot right here, you can see one of the staff archaeologists working in this feature, this profile layer, where you can see all this slag right here. And this slag is in this area that runs downslope from the temple and the ice house. And in this unit that's being drawn right here, you can see the profile right here. There's just some great stratigraphy in all this. And these earlier units, MT 59, 60, 61, these are from the 1990s. And we're going to get to those a little bit later, but not quite yet. We're going to do all the units that were opened up in the 2013, 16, and 17 seasons as first, and then after that get to the 90s units. So this gives a kind of a really a quick summary of the work that we did here. And one of the things that shows up in these deposits, especially at the ice house entrance, is all of these just incredibly complex. Uh, Let me bring over, let's see, I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint now because that's going to mess us up. And yeah, we can look at some of these pictures right here. I think you all can see this picture right here. But this photo right here, what you can see is just all of this slag and charred material that's underneath the fill that and on top of the road for the ice house. So, there's some really complex stratigraphy in this area that we're going to be exploring for this project. So when you get back over to the map right here, again, the area we're going to be looking at is the Fenceline North right here, and then the area of the temple. And the area we're going to be excavating next season is all of this area in here, looking at the 18th century blacksmith shop, and then also potentially parts of this of the road network that was in this area as it came around the temple as well. So having these units digitized is going to be a huge help. And one of the first things we need to do in the unit digitizing is do the record renaming. And the for the record renaming, the area we're going to start on is the North Yard. And this folder right here has all of the records that need to be relabeled. So if you go and you look at MT 1925, you can see that these records in here, they're straight from the scanner. These were scanned in 2023, right before the fire. And then these are the digital photos with their name from the camera still on them. And in this document right here, what this goes over is, what to do with, going through the folders for renaming. And it does it. This is it's a general document, but this one talks about, looking at the overall shots to get a sense of the unit itself. And then what you'll want to do is when you're ready to start relabeling, is you're going to go to the folder that's right here, like in this one right here. If I picked going to unit relabel MT 1925, I'm going to rename this IP for in progress and then MBR so that anyone else doing work knows that I'm working on this. And then we'll just start relabeling these. And for examples of some of the folders that have been relabeled, I've got the main house map right here that has all of the units that have been relabeled. And this is one that I was talking with Steve about, is that we need to go in and add these units right here for this unit summary. But if you click on this map right here, you can go into any of these units right here, for example. And when you click on these units, not only do you see the best shot, but when you click on the records for this unit right here, you can see examples of all the units that have been, all the forms and photos, how they've been relabeled. And Olivia, you'll probably be familiar with this from the field school, especially for the photos, because this is how we rename things in the field. And then for everyone else, y'all have been doing this for a while, so you'll remember this. But the documents that relate to the unit as a whole or to the feature, these are all starting out with the unit number and then a dot and an underscore, and that puts these all in the top of the folder, so it's easy to reference. And then as you start getting into the layers like layer O, layer A, B, and C, the way these are named is they go in sequence. So for example, for stratum A, not only do you have the stratum card, which is MT2564.A and then CA for card, but then the next photo is the opening shot for this unit, and that's MT2564.A.ph, and the pH is just the general opening shot. And technically every single layer that's excavated should have an opening shot, but you don't necessarily have a closing shot for each one. So if you want to get familiar with the unit relabeling, this you can go through and explore some of these units and look at the ones that have been done. And one thing that does need to be done is we need to go in at some point and go and edit these units so that the records and the best photo is here. And I could, if anybody's interested in doing that, I could just let me know. This is, I don't know if y'all remember doing this. This is back, I think it was in January you all worked on this, where when you relabeled one of the units, it turned green if it was correct, and then if it was incorrect, it turned red. I don't know if anybody but Steve really focused on that. Did any of y'all do that work?
I did a few just to try it out, and then I went back to digitize.
Okay.
Yes, also I did a few and I probably already forget what I did, but
All right.
it wasn't too
Well,
difficult as I recall.
yeah, yeah. So it's a way to get kind of some instant gratification because you get to go through the units pretty quick. So if anybody's interested in a refresher on that, or just to get back into it, shoot me an email and I can get you all started on that. But for today, what I wanted to talk about and focus on is the actual unit relabeling. And so again, for the North Yard and for the fence line, we're going to be looking at these units right here. And this unit right here, MT 1925, is the one that I'm going to give an example of relabeling. And for this one, what you've got in this document for the unit record renaming, and again, I'm going to send you all this document. This is kind of like Command Central in the go-to document for doing this. This has everything, not only the link to the folder of units, but also the strata sheet for Fenceline North. And what that refers to is this sheet of all of the strata that are present. And so, for example, here's MT 1925, and we'll get started on this. And as we do this, if there's previences that are missing, you all enter that in, and we'll do that in a second for strata O and for strata A. We'll see why that was the case. Those aren't in there. But then also you've got the field guide for the season. This talks about, like how we did the units. So it's something good to review the basic field guides for recording everything. And then there's the guide to the field forms, which is probably more useful for the digitizing. And then the report on the Fenceline North, which is all of the Pine Alley in the Fenceline North. So if y'all are interested in some background. But for going through this, I think that most of the unit records that we've got in the Fenceline North, they've got the best photo already. So there's been some folders where there'll be like 5 different pictures of the same strata, and you want to pick that one out and delete the rest. But for this one, there's one photo for each strata. So this one's already weeded out. So it's pretty well cleaned up. So yeah, this one has the opening, and then looks like that's the closing one right there. And then closing for D as well. So, and then you get the profile pictures right here. And then that's it for this one. And so for relabeling this, what you'll do is you're going to go through the file name structure, and with a summary of codes, this gives a summary of all the codes and an explanation for what they are. Like CA is for strata card or for the strata sheet. PH is for the different types of photo, whether it's an opening photo, which is PH. PH closing is a closing photo. PI for in situ, and then PH for in progress. And again, if you want to see some examples of this, what you can do is you can go to this map right here for the experience builder. And if you go to, say, for example, like Dolly's Midden right here, you can, here's a photo, but then you click on the records, and then here are all the different types of photos that are present and how they're labeled. And you can get an idea of how these photo names work, like with the MT unit number, the strata letter, and then what kind of record it is. And for example, like this one's card because it's a stratum sheet or card. This one is an opening photo, so it's PH. And then this one, in this case, there's multiple opening photos for this strata. So that's why they're labeled 2 and 3. And then you've got another one here for E, a plan view of stratum E. and then here's the card for F, and then a plan view for stratum F. So with this, what we can do is let me close out some of these windows here because it gets a little crazy here. Make sure I don't close out the wrong one here. All right, so for unit relabeling, what we're going to do is go to the north fence line. And first, does anybody have any questions before we go on and show some of the unit relabeling? Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
this unit relabeling pretty much the same as the relabeling that we've done in the past? Has
It
anything
is that.
significant changed?
No, there's nothing that's changed on this.
Okay.
Like I said, this one should be pretty easy because there's not multiple, like stuff from the early 2000s. There'd be like 5 different pictures, and you'd have to, delete the ones that were a duplicate that were blurry or underexposed. But everything's pretty clean. So for doing the unit relabeling, a lot of learning this is, just going through and actually doing it. And what you'll do is, for example, for MT 1925, I'm going to start on this one. The first card here is stratum O. And so this is where, you want to make sure that each of these stratum are represented. So that's where you go to the strat sheet for Fenceline North. And when you go to 1925, you can see there's no strata O because there probably wasn't a sample taken. And so I'm going to insert a row and then put in MT 1925.O. Oops. And then put in my initials, not on list. And then don't worry about any of this stuff right here. But what we'll do is and y'all can still see the screen here with the unit relabeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what we'll do here is we're going to go to this one. What we'll do is we'll since we've entered stratum O into this sheet right here, what we can do is click right here, and then we're going to rename this file. And what you'll want to do is never change the extension PDF because that's an important part of the file structure. But this one's going to be MT 1925.O, and we use the 0 because that puts it first, and O could be an actual layer, and then put .ca for card. And now this one is relabeled to MT 1925.O.ca. And what we can do is you can either do it in order, with what's here, or some people like to go to the actual opening shot for stratum O and relabel that.
I
And
have a
that will,
thought. I have a thought here, Matt, when you have a chance there.
yeah, what's that, Dean?
Just maybe we should take a look at the cards and verify that the photo numbers are accurately portrayed on the card, because we will have the photo numbers. I think, have the photo numbers available to us here until they get changed over to until they get renamed. Does that make any sense?
It does, yeah. So there is this one does not have an opening photo. It has a closing photo 7980.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that photo 7980 is the opening for A. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just going to leave this one as the opening for A because they really don't need a closing photo. You always know that your opening photo is also a closing photo. So we won't worry about that. So open for stratum O, there is no opening photo. And so that's where it might be, that you get into this when you start doing the digitization, but for the most part, I would worry about just relabeling all of the, just to keep it simple, especially for folks that have just started this, Dean. I'd
Hmm.
recommend just going through and relabeling the documents. And, for those
Hmm.
of you all that are experienced, you could get into the nitty gritty on that. But for newer folks, it might be easier just to relabel these
Hmm.
as, through the sequence.
Hmm.
But but you can do what you're talking about, Dean, after all of them are labeled, because then everything will be in order and you can see what's missing, if you know what I mean. Um, for this next one
The
right
only
here,
problem is that unless I'm missing something, the photo numbers on the document go away when you relabel them.
actually
So
they don't. They
they
don't.
don't?
Yeah,
Oh.
because when you like if you look at this information right here and you look at activity,
Hmm.
down here you can see the old name.
Oh, okay. Go.
So that's a
So look
little
under
trick.
activity and I can get back to the old name.
You can get to the old name, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And to
Gotcha.
do that, you click on the information, this little icon right here, and that brings up the details and activity. So,
Okay. All right. Hmm.
and
Thank you.
for those of y'all that are just starting out this process, you'll need to get some familiarity with Google Docs or the Google Drive. And if y'all need help on that, I can give you an individual primer on that. We could schedule something on that. But in with the Google Drive, basically, for a lot of this, just double click on the document. You can see this one's 1925A, and we'll go to the form here. There's no 1925A, so we're gonna insert a row and put in MT 1925.A. And this is my initials, and then not on list. And then we'll go back to this one and click here to rename it. And MT 1925.A. And then this is the card. So put CA. And this one's done. And what you'll see is these start accumulating at the bottom in order. So eventually what you'll have is a complete set of records with everything there. And so this one is 1925B. This one is here, so we're set with that. And this one is MT 1925.B.ca. And then the next one is B1. And so for this guy, this would be MT 1925.B1.ca. And let's see if there's a B1 in here. And there is a B1 there. And then the next one is stratum C. And looks like there's no stratum C here. And so this is why it's important to note on this stratum sheet what's here and what isn't, because this will help us go back and add to the strata database in the end. But for this one right here, again, in 1925, MT 1925.C.ca. And this next one is stratum D, and stratum D is here. So MBR, not on list. MBR, that one is on the list. And click on this one, MT 1925.D.ca. And for this next one here, okay, this one's E, and E is not there either. So we're gonna MT 1925.E. And a lot of times these don't have records if there's no if there's no samples taken. And you can see right here, there are no samples here, environmental samples taken, so it doesn't end up in the database. So MT 1925.E.ca. And so in this case, we're down to the last stratum sheet. And this one, you'll notice there's no stratum listed. It's a feature. And so what this one is, instead of being a stratum card, it's a feature card. And so what we're going to label this one as is MT 1925 dot underscore feature 1088.ca, because this is a feature card. Sometimes there's summary cards, but those weren't used during after 2012, I believe. And so now when we label this one, what you're going to see is that all these are in order with the feature card, which is the feature description, like the shape, up front on the list. And then some of the other ones that are here are, this one is a plan view of feature 1088. And so for the plan views, if there's only one plan view, what you can do is I usually relabel it with the feature number, but the most important thing is to just relabel it. And so for a lot of the relabeling process, it could be really, you could do it one or two ways. You could label this as plan view for stratum D or E, or for feature 108. In the end, it really doesn't matter, just as long as these are relabeled as a plan view. And if you look at the record naming guide, what you'll see is for plan views, there's one for feature plan views, and that tends to be the most important plan view that's out there. Because when you think about what ends up getting digitized, like what ends up on the map for the project. Let me see if I've got the map here. I don't have the map here, but in this map, the main house map right here, let me see if I've got features on this one. Oh shoot, I did not save the features that are on this one. Let me get to the feature map here in web map. Yeah. So on this web map, what you can see for unit 1925. Let me find where 1925 is. 1925. Yeah, 1925 is right here. Here's feature 1088. And if we get back over here to the to this folder here, here's feature 1088. This is where that digitized feature came from. So I always like to label it as the feature. So this will be if you look at the guide for renaming a plan view of a feature, for a feature plan view, it's _F and then .pv. So for this one, what we'll do is, so we'll do this as MT 1925 dot feature 1088, and this one is a plan view. And that way, with these records, this one will be right beside this one. Here's the stratum card, and then here's the plan view card. And if there's a profile for this one, which I don't think there is, let's see if there is a profile. No, there's no profile for this one. This is just the east wall. you could also have a plan view of that feature as well. Does this make sense to you all? And again, there's multiple ways you can do this. If you end up labeling this as MT1925 dot, in this case, E or D, it doesn't really make a difference. We'll come back and we can fix that. But the main thing is just to get it relabeled. And a lot of this is just getting through it.
I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
And that is, does it ever make sense to make copies? If you have two features shown on one card, would you want to make a copy and relabel it so you'd actually have the same picture or the same plan view in there, but in two places with two separate labels on it? Does that ever make sense?
It absolutely does, Dean, because one of the things that we're going to want to end up doing is, like, if you look at like MT 1932, there's two features here, and we're eventually going to want to have a plan view and a photo of this feature and for this feature right here. And if you got to have an individual file for each. I mean, you could label it. You technically could use the same photo for each one of those, but it's kind of nice to have a plan view and a photo for each
Yeah,
one.
just so they're next to the cards.
So they're next to the cards. So, and a lot of this, once you get these guys relabeled, that's when it all begins to make sense. So, for example, I'm going to leap ahead for relabeling this one, MT1925, MT1925 dot A dot PH. Now that we relabeled this one, and this gets into this kind of like obsessive compulsive, you got stratum O. There's no opening photo for O, but you've got A, the card, and then A, the photo, which is just really kind of nice. And then same way with this one. This one is MT1925 dot B dot PH and OK, and then MT. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to go to class, so I'm gonna leave now. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Olivia. Yeah, thanks. And we'll send you the recording, okay? All right. Thanks, Olivia. Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye. And this one is D right here, MT1925.D.ph. And now once you get to this point, and you can start to see how they're all associated with each other. And looks like B1 is missing a photo. And I don't know what B1 is, but a lot of times you can get into this and it looks like B1 was just stratum B was divided into the B1 and B and then B1 for some reason. Yeah, not sure what happened with that. But then there's stratum C and then there's D. And then what's remaining here is here's the photos of this feature that were excavated. And again, all the feature fill is treated as a layer, not as the feature number. And the only thing that's treated as a feature is the actual cut itself. And so in this case, this one is MT1925.E.ph, and then this is closing right there. And this is MT1925.feature108D closing. And I'm going to label this one MT1925 dot, I'm going to just call it D dot PH and then closing. And we can always go back and we need to, we can relabel this one as the feature number, but we'll get to that later. And then for the plan for the profiles For this, I always have to go back and refer to this. Your unit profile wall drawing is the P and then the direction, which is the whether it's north or south. And so unit profile wall drawings, X is the compass cardinal direction. And so for this one, this is east profile. So this is MT 1925 dot yep, there's an underscore and then a P underscore profile drawing, and this is east and then D. And then that puts that profile drawing before all the strata letters. And then each one of these is a profile photo. And so these guys are, let's see, this is the east wall profile. So MT 1925 dot underscore P and then E, and it's just a photo. And this one is the south wall profile, MT 1925 dot underscore P and then S. And then eventually all these just start to get populated in. So you can see that it's as you all remember, it's pretty straightforward with all this. And I'll probably finish all this later. This one is the unit stratigraphy matrix, and this one gets a Harris matrix. Yeah, so this one is the Harris matrix right here. So MT 1925 dot underscore and then B Harris matrix. B Harris matrix. And this one does not appear to have a summary form present for it. So so does that make sense to you all? Y'all good with that? I mean, I'm not going to do more because it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, watching me relabel all these. But really appreciate you all tackling this. Anybody have any questions on this? Cool. Well, what we'll do is we'll start, for Dean and Beth, if you all could continue finishing up the north dwelling, that'd be great. And then for everybody else, if you all wanted to get started on relabeling, I'll send out the information for this relabeling guide, and you all can take a crack at this. And one thing that I did forget is that once you're done with relabeling a folder, what you're going to want to do is, like for example, this one right here, it's done. Once you're done, you'll either want to move it over to relabeled, or if it has some problems and you've got questions about it, put it into the problems folder. And this one right here, I've got these two that I've not relabeled yet. And if I had questions about it, what I'd do is I'm going to put it into the problems folder, because I'd rather have it be in the problems folder if there's any questions than have it being relabeled, because relabeled is basically done and there's nothing else to do. And but if it's in the problems folder, I'll definitely go back and check that, if that makes sense. And so eventually all these will get done. And then the next project we'd move on to, and I'll do a review of this before, is we'll move on to the North Yard Temple. And there's not many of these folders, but these have a lot of forms because they're deep stratigraphy. So looks good. In this case, the number of folders can be deceiving. There's a lot of strata in these cards right here. So it's some pretty cool stuff. So that's the main thing I had for you all. And again, if anybody's interested in doing the unit summary experience builder form, I could link you up with that as well. And just drop me a note and I could send that. So, but it'd be great to have, Pete, it's good to see you. It'd be great to have you back, as well as Steve and Vivian. If you wanted to get into this, that'd be great as well. But anybody have any questions or comments or anything to note? And again, the more experience you get with this, the more you'll realize a lot of times there's more than one way to do it. And the most important thing is you don't end up deleting photos. But if you do, we can always recover them. I think, Dean and Beth, you've been like, I accidentally deleted something. I've got it all on the server and I can just move it back over to the Google Drive. So there's nothing on the Google Drive that isn't duplicated at the local server on the property here. So, and that's what makes this a really nice project, because the worst that'll happen is you'll be like, I need the photos again, and I can copy those over. Most important thing is just to let me know. It's like the old adage, if something breaks, just let somebody know. So, well, cool. Well, looking forward to having these two projects done and available online. And I got to tell you, the one map that I'm really excited about is the summary map, because that's kind of like the one-stop shopping for the units, where you can just go in that map and click on it and find all the unit data. But having all the individual data digitized is great as well. But this unit relabeling, the file relabeling, this allows these unit summaries to be there pretty quickly. And so once they get relabeled, we can add these into all that. So cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Anything to report, Dean and Beth, for how things are going?
Going great.
Yeah, things are fine. I just have a really big one right now, so it might take me a couple days to get it finished.
Okay, and that's over at the North dwelling?
Yes. And I still have a couple where I have questions, where you were going to go back and look for some of the missing documents.
Okay, I will look.
It's in Slack. It's in Slack.
It's in Slack. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple that there should be records, but they're not there. And I pulled all those records. Today they're actually they're taking down the old lab and the office. The bulldozer's coming in today, and they're going to start that tomorrow. So we've cleaned the last of the records out of there, but there's some areas where the records just aren't really safe to access. So, but I think we've got all the records, which is great. So again, this has been a great project for reviewing all that to make sure that we're where we need to be. So, all right. Well, thanks you all. After this, I'll go ahead and send you all the recording of this, but then also the guide for relabeling records, so you all can get started on this project. So Pete and Steve and Vivian, if you're interested in that, and Olivia as well, and anyone else listening to the recording, you'll get that unit relabeling guide, and you can get started on that. And one thing to note is that if you do have questions, we are using Slack, and for that, for the Slack channel, we're using, for the relabeling project, we're using Relabel, and but of course for Dean, you and Beth, keep on using Digitize for digitizing questions for the North dwelling. But for getting into the relabeling, we'll use the relabel channel for that one. And if anybody has any questions on Slack, just let me know and I can send you a recording on how to use Slack. But Slack, it's just nice because all the questions are organized into one area. You can see the last time we were doing relabeling was in October of 2024. And I think that was for the Southwest Yard or for the Southwest Yard. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. And we'll see you all on Slack, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
I'll see you in a couple weeks, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. That'll be great. Appreciate it, Vivian. Bye everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.